Today we're talking about primer guns. I've been buying and collecting primer guns for over 3 decades. We're gonna put this new LumaIII Shadow against some of the most popular and best primer guns in the world to see how it stacks up. Here's a small example of some of the primer guns that I currently own, and yes, I do own more than this. Why do I have so many primer guns? You only need one primer gun. Well, that's not true, because on the bare metal side, I'm spraying etches and epoxies. For the collision side, I'll do UV and waterborne, and each one of those may require a different tip. But in customizing and restoration and collision, when I'm using a high build primer, I may be using a 2K urethane, I may be using a hybrid high build epoxy, or a product like Slick Sand, which is a polyester, which requires different setups and different tips. Before we get into this gun, I think it's only fair that we mention a couple of these guns. What do I like, what do I not like about these guns? Let's start with my old faithful, my old SATA Jet B. In my opinion, the finest primer gun that has ever existed. I love these guns, I've used them for over 20 years. This will always be my go-to if I only had one gun. What's the downside to them? Crazy expensive. How expensive? Well, this is $700, especially if you buy a regulator, because that's over $100. And here's where it even gets crazier. If I buy this in a 1.8, I might as well buy another one in a 2.5 and another one in a 1.4, because if I want to change tip sizes, unfortunately with SATA, you have to change the air cap, fluid tip, and needle, and that's going to cost you probably $300-400 bucks. I can't afford that. I spray way too many types of primer, so unfortunately I'm out. This gun right here, this is the DeVilbiss Techna primer gun. This is probably the closest related gun to the LumaIII Shadow, and I like this gun. It's got a couple downsides. One, it's more money. Two, they don't offer all the tip sizes that I need, especially in the lower end for like UV and stuff like that. They do offer the big ones, the 2.5 and the 2.2, and I believe a 2.0 and a 1.8. It sprays almost the same, besides one thing. It likes to split the fan. What do I mean by that? This gun, unless you adjust it properly, it's very heavy on the top and heavy on the bottom, and it's light in the middle. So this gun's a little bit finicky, and it takes a minute to get used to. Still a good gun. Last but not least, the old 3M gun. And they've made many versions of this. This is the latest and greatest. This costs a little bit more than this gun out of the box. You can get several different tip sizes. It sprays well. I know a lot of people go, oh, I don't like it because it's plastic and it's cheap and this, that. It sprays really well, all right? This is a great primer gun. The downside of this gun is it does feel cheap in my hands. When I'm painting it, some guys don't care about that. I don't like the way that it feels. It feels very peasant, very poor to me. Another thing that it doesn't do is that every time that I want to clean it or replace one of these tips, these guys are $7, $10 a piece. So over time, it prices me out of a gun like this. The ultimate goal of this video today is to show you the good and the bad about this gun, what it can and cannot do, and our thoughts and opinion on it after using it for over 2 months straight. So with any gun, before you use it when it's brand new out of the box, tear it down the whole way and clean it. We've already done that, and we've already installed our adapter for our cupless system. If you don't use cupless, it does come with a cup. The cool thing about the black cup is if you're a UV guy, this is what you want. So you don't have to buy a black cup or tape up a black cup like we do with our 3M gun. The only downside is make sure you add a regulator at checkout. It's pretty inexpensive, but I want this Luma regulator on my Luma gun, so when you buy the gun, make sure you buy this. So here's the first primer that we're going to show you today. We're going to be spraying a urethane 2K primer because it's the most popular out there. All right, this is from Glazereth. This is in their BASF RM line. It goes hand in hand with the 55 solvent line. This is 28513. This is a special kind of urethane primer because you don't need an etch underneath of it. It's technically a DTM. We're spraying in a booth. I like the primer in a booth. So I'm gonna be high pressure. What does high pressure mean? I'm gonna be spraying 25 to 30 PSI. Most guys are gonna be right around 25, but it depends on what you like. Also though, we're gonna spray a couple vehicles on the floor. We typically don't do that at this shop, but we wanted to show you the difference. Same product, same gun. The only difference is I'm gonna drop my pressure way down. How low am I gonna go? Probably 10 PSI when I spray that. So let's see how this gun sprays. I wanted to mimic the environment that some of you guys are in. Some of you guys are in 1 and 2 car garages priming on a day that's below 70 degrees. And when you take a primer gun and you drop the pressure way down to 10 PSI or less, a lot of primer guns have trouble. They spit, they don't like to lay down correctly or atomize correctly. You can see with this LumaIII Shadow, even priming on the floor on a super cold day with the pressure way down, it still lays out this urethane primer perfectly. If you check out Luma's website, you can see what the MSRP is on this gun because it changes. And Luma's always running sales and specials and stuff like that. While we're making this video, they currently have a SEMA special, which puts the gun right around $300, and I think the MSRP is like $330 on the gun. What you're getting for the $330 is you're getting the gun, the black plastic hard cup, but you're also getting a kit. It's not just the gun, meaning it comes with everything you need for the 1.5 setup, the 1.8 setup, the 2.0 setup, and all of the tools to disassemble the gun. So this is not a gun for $300. This is 3 guns, if you will, for $300. One of the most important things to me about my guns is how easy they are to clean and how easy they are to take apart. And the Shadow checks both of those boxes. Because it has a high-end coating on it, it's very easy to clean up, but more importantly, it's very easy to keep it clean over time. Here's where the 1.5 tip comes into play. If you're spraying a 2K etch, if you're spraying a thin bare metal epoxy, I don't want to use a traditional 1.8 tip because most of these bare metal primers are designed to go on thin. How thin? Usually 1 mil or less. And if you're using a normal primer gun with a 1.8 tip, we have a tendency to spray them on too wet and they can fail. So I like the 1.5 tip with all of my etches, with all of my epoxies. Also, I use a lot of waterborne from PPG. It's EPW 115. Now, the P sheet, or the technical data sheet, if you will, does say you can use a 1.8. I hate a 1.8 with this product because if you spray it too wet, it likes to get cracky and it likes to fail. So the 1.5 tip that's supplied in this kit is perfect for the EPW 115. Most guys who are restoring cars, most guys that are customizing cars are not using a traditional 2K urethane primer as their high build. A lot of us like these crazy hybrids or polyesters. Linear Blocks has a very popular high build epoxy primer. Duratec makes a vinyl ester high build primer that is kind of like a polyester, but it's waterproof. And then last but not least, my personal favorite, Evercoat makes a bunch of polyester primers, be it slick sand or something else. Most of those types of primers are not going to spray well out of a 1.8. If the gun is not atomizing correctly, if it's not distributing the primer evenly, one area will have 10 mils, the area next to it will have 9, the area next to it will have 11, the area next to it will have 8. Even though your body work was perfect, when you get to the blocking stages, you'll notice that spray wave or that ripple, which will take you more time to block it out properly and more money in sandpaper. One of the things we never talk about with primer guns is transfer efficiency. If you buy a gallon of cheap primer, it could still be $100 a gallon or more. And if you have poor transfer efficiency, you might get half or 25% of your product to stick and the rest goes up in there. Because this is an HVLP, because this is a high-end gun, you will get better transfer efficiency than that $50 or $75 Harbor Freight gun. Here's a good tip for you guys. On Luma's site, they sell a 1.3 setup separately for the LumaIII Shadow gun. Some of your primers out there may need the smaller tip. What we did was we installed this setup and we shot the Hot Rod Black, which is a single stage, and we wanted to see what it could do. Believe it or not, it sprayed it perfectly. I'd love to know your thoughts on this gun if you've used it or if you own one. Here's my opinion on it. This gun, dollar for dollar, is the best primer gun on the market, period. Why do I say that? We put every primer that PPG, BASF, and Evercoat had to offer, and a couple others. And this gun sprayed every primer that we threw at it perfectly. And that's a bold statement with how many different primers are out there. Final thoughts on the LumaIII Shadow. What do I really think about it? Well, I haven't used my SATA in the last 2 months, so that should tell you a lot. And that is my go-to gun and has been for a long time. I really think for the price point and the versatility with the 3 different tips that this gun is a game changer. If you haven't used one yet, make sure you buy one or at least borrow one from your buddy because I think it'll make you a believer. It's really inexpensive and it can do so many different undercoatings. The only downside to this gun is they currently do not have a UV or water tip for all companies. The small tip, the 1.5, might get you through, but I'd like to see Luma make a smaller tip. I talked to Kurt, I talked to Chris about it. They're in development for it, so hopefully in the future, if you get one now, later down the road, they may have that for the guys who really need that. So if you like our video, if you like our content, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps David and I out. It really helps our channel grow. Also, if it's a money thing and you're trying to save a couple bucks, you can use our Refinish Media 7 code at checkout and it'll save you 7%. So from David and I at Refinish Media, until the next time.